Okay, now I'm recording this session then. So guys, well, as I was saying before, we're gonna be working today in our class number 5.1. Ready? So it's gonna be the first class of the week, number 5. And well, it's just you and me because Sarah just texted that she's like in a place with no internet connection. So well, she can be with us today. Ready? So no problem. Bueno, first of all, I have here a first picture which I would like you to check. It's a picture of an animal, no? So, but it's like an ape, no, like a monkey. And what do you think? What is he feeling right now? What is he feeling? Or what do you think that he looks like? What is he feeling now?
He is regretful.
Maybe he's regretful. That's it. Any other?
Frustrated.
Maybe he's like frustrated, right? I would say that he's embarrassed. That's my perception, that he's embarrassed. But also, of course, he could be frustrated or regretful, no? Anything else? Anything else that you would say? No? Probably is he doing something like, well, if here I'm asking about the feelings, but I would say, for example, if I say, what is he doing? What is he doing now? What would you say that he's doing there? What is he doing?
Thinking, maybe.
Maybe he's thinking. Yeah, okay. I would say that he's just like imitating. I think that he is imitating another person or like playing around, no? He's like joking. I would say so. What about you, Maho? Do you have any hypothesis? What is he doing?
No, teacher, no idea.
No idea. Well, that doesn't
He's
matter.
putting his hand on his face
Yeah,
for
he's
no
just putting.
reason
Okay, but you don't know
because
the
he's
reason, no? So okay.
no.
Mhm.
I can't
Well,
imagine something.
maybe he's imagining something, no? That could be also good. Well, so in this case, what we're doing is simply trying to put some perceptions into the expression, because actually this is an ape, no? They don't have like a way to express their feelings, no? With gestures, but not with words. So in that case, we can only um, assume, like suppose, no? What the animal is doing, right? Now, what about if I look at this picture of this guy? What does he look like? Is he all right? What do you think? What does he look like?
I think like he looks uncomfortable, but he doesn't want the people to know that he's uncomfortable, like trying to hide it.
Okay, very good. So he's
Like,
uncomfortable,
did
but
you
he's
like the present? Yeah.
okay, very good. So he's uncomfortable, but he doesn't want to express it, no? So he's trying to press it, like to how did you say that? To hide it, right? So good, excellent. Okay, Santi, any other possibility? What does he feel like?
He is sad, forced to smile.
Forced to smile. Okay, he's forced to smile. Okay, very good. Yeah. I would say that he actually frustrated was my thing here. I would say that he's frustrated, probably, but he doesn't want to express it. No, so what we know, what we all agree with, is that he's hiding something. No, so he's hiding. Oh, sorry, hiding something, right? But anyway, he cannot speak to us. So in that case, we are just trying to give our perception. Yeah. So what he looks like, no, what he looks like, we are based on his appearance, we are trying to make some suppositions, everything like that. In this case, what we ask about like the perception of the man, well, we could describe like, for example, that he's uncomfortable, ready? Or that he's sad. Or for example, that the ape is frustrated, right? But also in order to be more specific or more detailed, I can use something which is a kind of comparison, which is called a metaphor. Yeah, a metaphor. Do you know what is the meaning of a metaphor? What is a metaphor?
Metáfora.
Yes. And do you know what is that?
Sí, de decir algo explicando la situación, por decirlo así.
More or less, yes. When we talk about a metaphor, which is similar to a simile, is because we are going to explain something but using a comparison. For example, here, I would say, I'm making a metaphor, just saying that he looks as if he divorced or he got divorced. Of course, when I do that, I am making a metaphor. It's a comparison, but it's not realistic. It's only a comparison that I am going to use to give like a context, like an explanation, but it's not literal. Yes, it's metaphorical. It means that he looks similar to a person that is divorced. It cannot be literal because an ape cannot be married. So cannot be married. So in that case, it's of course metaphorical, not literal, that the ape or that the monkey is divorced. No? So in that case, I'm making the comparison for expressing like that. For example, in this case, Majo did the same with the example of the gift, with the present, right? So she says, he looks like, yes, he looks like when you receive an ugly present and you have to accept it politely, no? So she explained on the situation using like. So in this case, what we're going to do is using those comparisons, some comparisons that we're going to learn in order to express or to explain some situations, right? The comparison is not actually for comparing the two things. No, it's for explaining one thing using another similar context, right? So for example, she said like, okay, he looks uncomfortable, but like trying to hide it. In order to explain her concept, she used one example, yes, exemplification, which is one kind of metaphor, in which she told us like, okay, it's similar to when to da, 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 yes, or he looks like when you da, 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 right? So these comparisons, what are going to help me to do is to explain situations using other more familiar references that we have before, right? And we're going to have different ways to do it. Some are more polite, some are more casual, more like, like a slang. So let's see how can we do it. Bueno, let's start erasing this part of it here. Let me just close the door, the picture. Okay, here, that's it, right? So for example, in this case, we are comparing two people. One person is sleeping like a log. There is the expression sleep like a log. Do you know what is the meaning of the expression sleep like a log? Should wait. Sleep like a log.
No.
No idea? Santi, do you know? Maybe what is that?
No, I don't know what means lock.
It's a big piece of wood that usually is cut from a tree.
Como tronco.
Exactly. So in that case, when I use sleep like a log, it means that I sleep very deeply, no? So that is one, for example, one way in which we can make metaphors or comparison. Sleep like a log. It's comparing the action of sleeping like a log. It means completely stiff, like completely hard, and like a dead person, right? So actually in Spanish we do the same, no? Como se duerme como un tronco or something like that. It's the same. But also we can have other different words. For example, in this case, my dear Majo, could you please help me to read?
He sleeps as if he were sick.
Exactly. He sleeps as if he were sick. We are comparing the way that the man sleeps with the way that a sick person sleeps, right? Of course, the man is not sick. I am just comparing that action, making a reference like, okay, a person that is sick sleeps a lot. This person does something similar, does the same, no? And he sleeps as if he were sick, right? Como si, as if he were sick, right? Or another way to do it, Santi.
He sleeps the way a sick person does.
Exactly. He sleeps the way a sick person does. So in that case, A, I'm doing the same using a comparison to like exemplify the way that the man sleeps. But in that case, I'm doing the word expression the way. De la forma en que, the way a sick person does, right? So in that case, guys, what we're going to do, it's super simple. We're going to learn how can we do that? How can we exemplify this kind of metaphors with expressions such as if, something more formal, or like, something more informal, or the expression the way, but they have different structures, right? So let's start by talking about the expression as if, which has another expression which is similar. Let's see it. Okay, right here. Good. So let's go with the first expression, which is as if and as though. Ready? It's basically the same. The expressions are the same as if or as though. Como si, yes, are very formal expressions, which usually are going to help me to express how I perceive the reality with another person or with another animal, no? For example, with the picture of the monkey, you tell me teacher is frustrated. But we don't know specifically if it is frustrated or not because he cannot express it. So we are just making suppositions from our impressions, from our perception, right? So when I say as if or as though, introduce, well, they help me to introduce a description of my impressions about the feelings or behaviors of the other people, right? After verbs such as act, behave, feel, look, seem, or talk. The actions that the other people do and how we find those actions, no? So, for example, in this case, we are describing or we are judging his look, no? How does he look? That's why the question was, what does he look like? Because we are describing his physical appearance. And with that, we could say that he looks uncomfortable as if somebody were forcing him to smile or as if forced to smile. Ready? So in that case, what we're going to do, it's like, okay, we express like I feel or he looks or, you know, the one that we want to express. And then as if or as though, both are options are all right. And then my perception, something is missing, no? Or for example, the ape, but that's not a chimpanzee. How do you call that kind of ape? Do you remember? How do you call that kind of ape? Because chimpanzee is another one.
Gorila.
No, that is not. No, you know what? That is an orangutan. That's the one. That's orangutan. It's the same, no? It's the same as in Spanish and in English. Orangutan, and yeah, because gorilla is the biggest one, no? So that's the one. So, well, in that case, we are describing that, for example, the orangutan. Wait, orangutan looks, you know, so we are just judging, supposing from our perception, right? So that he looks as if depressed. No, so I can use it simply as if, and then my perception is that the orangutan was depressed. So the orangutan looks as if depressed. That's it. No, or as though depressed. Yeah. It's necessary to include a verb, not always. I can say, for example, of course, the orangutan looks as if he were depressed. Yes. We use he were the verb in like the verb to be in past with word, right? Because it's only a hypothesis, it's not real. It's we are not completely sure. It can be or it can be false, can be another thing. So in that case, we're just making a supposition. For that reason, we use the unreal English, which is past, or if it's another verb, simply the verb to be with word, right? For example, we could say also the orangutan looks as if he lost something. Again, we use the past. We use the past because it's unreal. Yes, unrealistic. I don't know. We are not completely sure if it's like that or not. We are just simply supposing things. So that's why we use the past, right? Yes. If it's something more realistic, like for example, in this case, we can use the present. And we said, for example, that I feel as if something is missing, como que algo me falta, right? Something more realistic. I am feeling that way, yeah. So I know how I'm feeling. I can use it in present. So it can be in past if it's something very hypothetical, like I have no idea, or in present if it's something like I can express like with more certainty. Yes, when I'm sure about it. Ready? Or for example, I don't know, the police is looking a man. The man looks suspicious, no? So the man looks nervous. The man looks, unsettled, like kind of stressed. They could say, for example, that he looks as if he is a criminal. In that case, it's something that it's more possible, right? So that's why we use the verb to be in present. But if it's something that it's like, luce como si hubiera o como si hubiese hecho algo, just it's like further possibility, then we use the verb in past. Ready? But as if and as though, it's basically the same. What, like both are going to be fine. And that's it. Good. Questions about it, the expression as if or as though?
Just a question about the verb after as if, when, how we use it.
This verb in present or past.
Okay.
Yes? No, but that verb, that's the question?
Is or are or
Okay, got it. Well, sometimes it's verb to be, not always it's verb to be, no? But it depends. If it's in present, it's because it's something more realistic, more possible that is the real situation, no? Because when we talk about as if or as though, we are making simple suppositions. But a supposition can be more certain or more uncertain. Can be a wild supposition, wild guess, like I have no idea, which in that case I'm talking about the past, yeah, or can be something more certain, no? For example, in this case, I am going to have this example. Could you please help me to read it, Santi?
she looks as though she did something really bad.
Exactly. Yeah. So in that case, we did like, she looks as though she did something really bad. I don't know. I'm just making a wild guess. That's why I use the past. Ready? But I could say perfectly, for example, she looks. Let's change the looks. Let's use another verb. In that case, we could say, for example, we would say, she seems, which is one of the verbs of the perception. She seems as if she is really serious. Really serious. Ready? This expression, which is with the present, it's going to be more certain. I am a little bit more certain that se ve como que es muy seria. Ready? Estoy un poco más seguro. In that case, I'm saying like se ve como si hiciera o si hubiese hecho cosas malas, right? So in that case, no estoy tan seguro. Es una suposición más abierta, menos segura, right?
Okay.
Ready?
Es
So,
que in the example, the orangutan looks as if the present.
okay. Sí,
I
well, in that case, we don't have a verb, no? So it's
Mhm.
not always necessary when we have a verb, pero ya lo vamos a ver en otra parte. So that is an example of another part of advance. Ready? So don't worry. Bueno, very good. So, Majo, hasta aquí, present, past, all fine?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, good, very good. Bueno, in that case, I'm making the comparison como si or yes, como si right? But also we have other different ways to do it. We have the expression as, only as, or the way. Ready? As, of course, it's going to be describing also comparison and the way to, ready? But in that case, they require to have a previous reference, no? So for example, in that case, the example says, I am thinking of joining a volunteer program to help build houses for the needy. Okay, that's what he is thinking. As a few of my friends have. Using the auxiliary, I am saying like, okay, a few of my friends have done that, and I am thinking of doing that the same as their friend, as his friends, no? So in that case, as can be used only, but before a noun, and that's it. As my friends, that's it. All complete. As a few of my friends have. The way, on the other hand, it's going to have always a complete sentence, no? So I am trying to teach the way the other teacher's work. I am trying to learn the way my classmates do it, right? So that way, the way requires a complete sentence afterwards, ready? And it's comparing that, or it's making a metaphor between two actions that I want to do in the same way. I mean, that I want to do an action in the same way that other person does it, right? I don't know, for example, let's say um, Santiago plays guitar the way, no sé, what a good guitarist. Let's say the way, I don't know any names of guitarists.
Slash.
Thank you, Majo, thank you so much. So Santiago plays guitar the way Slash does it, no? So it's like very professionally and with a lot of style, blah, 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 no? So the way Slash does, or the way Slash plays, no? We cannot use it with auxiliary or with the verb. Both are right, yes? So, and that's it. While when we use us, it's simply us and the thing, and that's it, no? Also, of course, or us, it can also go with the complete way. Santiago plays guitar as Slash does it, or as Slash plays, could be, or simply as Slash, and that's it, right? Comparing two actions that are done in the same way by two different people, by two different subjects. Ready? Questions with this one? As and the way?
No, teacher.
No.
Good. So over here, we started with as if and as though, which are very formal, very polite. Well, then we have as and the way, which are more common. No, these ones are a little bit more common. And then we have in informal English, right? So in spoken English, not so much in written English, but in spoken English first, the word like can be used instead of all the expressions here. So I can say, for example, that the orangutan looks as if depressed, or the orangutan looks like depressed. She seems as if she is really serious, or she seems like she's really serious. So like in the more casual context is going to have the possibility to replace all of these expressions. Ready? It's easier to use. That's why you see that the people all the time are saying like, oh yeah, it's like, no, which is a very um, catchy sentence, no, which is it's like, because it's really useful the expression like, especially for the spoken English, no. When I use like, I can replace all the rest different kind of metaphors that I can make, right? It's easy, ready? So Santiago plays the guitar like Slash does. Yes, or simplemente like slash. That's it, right? So like, it's going to be a very easy to use expression, simply just like, and then the next part of the sentence, whether it's with verb or simply the noun, right? As like, come on, questions, difficulties, problems, guys.
No, teacher.
No,
We're
all
fine.
fine. Very good, excellent. So over here, you tell me that he looks uncomfortable, sad, and forced to smile. Yeah. Maho gave us one example when she said that he looks like when you received a tag with the expression like. Yes, easy. Also, we can use, expression, for example, as if. No, we when, of course, just he looks as if you receive a gift and you are forced to smile, or you are, or you didn't like it, no, or you don't like it. That's it. So in that case, we can express it with as if or like, right? What about, wait a second, what about, let me find the right picture for you. Wait, I'm looking for the picture. Wait. Well, we have this man with this face. He's like, okay, I had too much to drink last night. Right? He said, I had too much to drink last night. My question is, what does he feel like? What does he feel like in that moment? Any idea? What does he feel like in that moment?
He feels as if he had been hit by a bus.
Very good. So he feels like he was hidden. He was hit by a bus. Very good. No, so it's a crazy metaphor. That's why he's using the verb in past. Yeah. So he feels like, or he feels as if, okay, he said hecho, as if he was hit by a bus. No? So making the metaphor that the hangover it means is similar to when a person is hit by a bus. Excellent, Santi. Muy bien, very good. Any other, Majo? What do you think that he feels like?
Um, I don't know. Like he looks like if he was grateful.
Completely
It's
right.
not. It's not a metaphor, but
Actually, it's not a metaphor, but it's a simile, which is the other one, no? So you are comparing his face to the way that the regretful person look, no? So that is, you would say that he looks as if, no, like, what did you say?
I said like
Ah, okay.
he looks like if he was grateful.
Good. In that case, when we use like, not necessary to use if, just he looks like he is regretful, right? It's pretty possible that he is regretful, so that's why you use it.
Or
And
just he looks like grateful, like
yeah,
without the he.
exactly. He looks like regretful is also another possibility, especially or more commonly used when the verb is in past, when it's like something a little bit more crazy. But in that case, it's also possible he looks like regretful. No, so that's it. Perfectly, perfectly done.
Grateful no is not in past.
No,
Like
the one that it's here, it's in like in verb to be. Yeah, that which is
ah
in is,
ah
no? So because regretful is an adjective, so regretful doesn't have a time because it's an adjective, right?
yes, yes. My brain was is a cortocircuito.
Oh my God, it was like how do you say that? There is an expression in Latin for that, like coitus interruptus or something like that, right? Bueno, anyways, so exactly like that. You are making a simile in which the way that the man looks and the way that a regretful person does, no? So we are supposing, we are comparing or making a reference that he looks like he's regretful because his face looks like when the person is regretful, no? Or in that case, Santi made a comparison about the feeling, like the man is feeling, and the way a person who was hidden by the bus is feeling, no? So that's why very good, excellent, good. So in that case, we can have these three ways to do it complete, like with all the complete sentence. But there are other different ways in which I can do it something more short, like short. Ready? For example, it's very common that we can find these kind of inversions when we have comparisons or metaphors. No, depending on the tense that we use, if it's with verb to do, if it's with auxiliaries, if it's with modal verbs, if it's with verb to be, we are going to have the possibility to find these kind of inversions that we find at the end, no? In order for saying like así como ta ta ta. But depending on the original sentence, I am going to have the possibility to do it with do, with does, with is, with are, with would, with can, with different ways. For example, I can sing. Yes, I can sing very well. As can, no sé, let's say Adele. I don't know many about singers, but so as can Adele. As in that case, the first sentence is with can, the second one, the inversion, is also going to be with can, right? Because the idea, of course, is that we use the same grammar base, which is with auxiliary or with modal verb or with whatever, but making an inversion, no? So in that case, it's like ade, like at the beginning, like subject, modal verb, and then no, in that case, it's going to be as, then the auxiliary or the verb, yes, and then the subject, yeah? Depending on the sentence on the original one, I can have to use the verb in the inversion, no? For example, one more time, I'm gonna use my hands are very small, as are my mother's. No, so in that case, making the inversion with the same verb to be in order for making a comparison between my hands and the hands of my mom, which is like, hey, there is a similarity between the two different hands, right? Okay, careful with the original sentence because in that case, of course, it's going to, the original sentence or the first sentence is going to tell me what is the grammar base that I have to use in the inversion. No? So that's the one. Questions about that part? Difficulties in that part?
Teacher, the verb that starts I can sing, we use the same and the end as Canada always.
Exactly. Yes, not always, because for example, when it's present simple, like here, for example, in the first one, they use another verb. Marisa has a lot of trouble accepting change, as does Triana. Why does? Because in that case, that is the auxiliary of the simple present. Yes. Most of the times, I can use the same verb. For example, when it's modal verb, when it's verb to be. Yes. In that case, I am going to have the possibility to do it with the same verb, but sometimes no. Yes, depending on the original sentence. Similar to the one of the tag questions, no? For example, when I say, I have visited, no sé, Medellín. I have visited Medellín as Majo, digamos. Entonces, in that case, for example, what would you use here, Santi?
As have Majo.
Exactly, because that is the auxiliary. In that case, it's gonna be with the auxiliary, ready? But what about if I say, for example, I have a lot of free time? Bueno, this is not true, but a lot of free time. As tiriri, Majo. What do you think?
Have to? No, I don't know.
Hmm. In this case, this is simple present, no? So I have a lot of free time. This is tener. In here, it's not tener, it's the auxiliary of the verb in past participle. Here it's tener. I have a lot of free time. What is the auxiliary when I say ella no tiene?
Have?
No, that's not the one.
Doesn't.
Doesn't. En este caso, como es sí es, entonces es as does, ma. Does because it's present simple. Ready? Aquí, bueno, se confunde porque es el mismo verbo, pero en general no nos va a pasar eso porque puedo usar otro verbo. Por ejemplo, I eat only vegan food.
Teacher,
Yes,
to say as Maho does is incorrect.
is incorrect in terms of grammar. Is not incorrect in terms of use because a lot of people say it as Majo does. Yes, but in that case, the real structure, the real order is inverted. No, so subject verb inversion. So in that case, first the as, then the auxiliary or the verb, and then the subject. Ready? For example, over here, I eat only vegan food as, Majo, what do you think, Santi?
Does.
Exactly. Anyway, it's going to be simple present. So again, it's going to work with the auxiliary before the subject. Ready? So that's the one, that's the inversion that we have over here. No? So depending on the original sentence, we're going to have the inversion at the end. As I was telling to Maria Jose, normally this is the structure, but sometimes the people change it and they say as Majo does, as Majo is, and, you know, so especially with the auxiliary does, but originally the structure is inverted, but it can happen that you can find it on the other structure, on the other order, right? Hmm. As I was saying, like I have said many times, um, when we start getting deep into the language, we start seeing that the rules say something, but the people do other things sometimes, no? So in that case, it's a possibility that, or it's possible that when we start talking to the natives, a lot of these things that we are learning here are going to be a little bit different, no? Maybe because of the order, maybe because of the sound, they're going to be a little bit different. But it's a matter of getting used to the register, no? If you go to Boston, it's different. If you go to Florida, is different. If you go to England, it's different. So these things can vary a little bit from place to place, no? So it depends on that, but it's a matter of cost. Ready? Questions there? No. All fine.
Fine.
Teacher, good. Excellent, good. Bueno, so over here, we are going to have some cases in which, as I told you, I can omit the verb in the second part. Ready? They say, good, important. When both clauses have the same subject, o sea, they have to be the same subject, yes? And they have adjectives or past participles, yes? O sea, al final, single, carefree, glued to the chair, or the one regretful, it's an adjective, no? Are frequently shortened by removing the subject and the verb to be. Obviamente, como es un adjetivo, generalmente se usa con verb to be, ¿no? So they say, he looks like, removing the subject and the verb to be. He looks like regretful, right? Of course, he looks like he is regretful. It's another possibility. Or simply, he looks like regretful. Siempre y cuando sea verb to be con un adjetivo y el sujeto sea el mismo en las dos cláusulas. Lo que sí sucede acá. He and he, right? So he looks like he is regretful. It would be simply, he looks like regretful, and that's it, right? Entonces, conditions. The subject has to be equal in both parts, right? Also condition, the verb, the second sentence has to be with the verb to be plus an adjective, no? For example, in the example with the orangutan, no? So we said, the orangutan let's say seems as if it is frustrated. Frustrated, right? So in that case, I'm having the orangutan. Yes, subject number one is the same as the subject number two. So first condition, done. Okay. Second, it's verb to be. Yes. With an adjective. Yes. Okay. So what I can do is, instead of saying the orangutan seems as if it is frustrated, simply change it to the orangutan seems as if frustrated, removing the subject and the verb to be, as if frustrated, and that's it. ¿Vale? Is a little bit more clear, this part?
Yes, it's not necessary the subject and the verb. Just
Exactly. Majo, is it more clear? Yeah?
Yes.
Perfect. Very good. That's it. And then in the final part, they say that, well, when we have these phrases like what we have in past, ready, is, as I was saying before, because we're talking about a hypothetical or unreal situation. Now, would you mind, but I don't know if you can see it, or should I make it bigger to read the first example? Should I make it bigger?
Yes, please.
Of course. Oh my God, sorry. Espérame, wait, let me just erase this part. Listo, ahora sí, go ahead.
Notice that we use ¿cuál? ¿Esa o la de arriba?
The second one, this one. Billy's.
Ah, okay. Billy's talking about quitting his job as though he were carefree.
Mhm.
He has responsibilities and
Exactly.
I
Very
can
good.
see more.
No, that I think that is not nothing else. So
Okay.
in that case, we're saying that it's hypothetical, it's not real. So I'm saying that Bill is talking about quitting his job as though he were carefree, but he is not carefree. He has responsibilities. So we're saying like in the like similar to in the imaginary situation that he didn't have responsibilities, but it's unreal because he has responsibilities, no? So in that case, we use verb to be in past, well, verb in past, in this case, verb to be, because it's unreal, no? Santi, help me with the second one, brother.
Some young people replace their gadgets every year as if they had all the money in the world.
Exactly. So it's imaginary because, of course, they do not have all the money in the world, no? They have a like limited quantity of money, but it's like that is the metaphor, no? It's an exaggeration. So in that case, it's unreal. So that's why we use the verb in past. As I told you, it can be in past or it can be in present, depending on my perception, if it's something realistic or not, no? For example, here, Santi was exaggerating that he was hit by a bus. Of course, he was not. He just had hangover. So in that case, he was exaggerating, and that's why he used the verb in past. But in this case, Maho was not exaggerating. It was something realistic. So that's why she used the verb to be in present. Later, I remove it, but it's possible to use it in present because, of course, this was something more realistic, right? So that's the difference between using the verb in past or using it in present, ¿vale? How do you feel, guys? Más o menos, more or less? All good?
Good, teacher,
Good?
for me.
Listo, very good. So, for example, what is the name of this guy? Do you know who is this guy?
Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt, very good. The fastest man alive, even more than Flash, no? So he's Usain Bolt. This animal, it's a hare, which is a big rabbit, which is super fast, one of the fastest animals alive, right? There are many different comparisons that I could make here, no? So for example, I would say that Usain Bolt, bueno, Usain B runs, and I have different possibilities, for example, as if he were a hare. Of course, he is not a hare, he is not an animal, so that's why we use the verb in past. It's unreal situation, no? So Usain Bolt runs as if he were a hare, como si fuera una liebre, right? One possibility. No, teacher, I want to make it another way. Okay, great. So Usain Bolt, Usain B, runs the way a hare does, o a hare runs, cualquiera, con el auxiliar o con el verbo, como quiera. So Usain Bolt runs the way a hare does, or the way a hare runs, ¿no? So, como de la forma que corre una liebre, de la forma que lo hace una liebre, right? So using does or runs. Option number 2, another one. Simple. Usain Bolt runs like a hare. Ay, perdón. Like a hare. With like. Simple, that's it. It's the most common one, right? So Usain Bolt runs like a hare. That's it. Or if I want to make it even shorter, I can do it, right? So you could say, for example, that Usain Bolt runs very fast. Inversion, as does a hare. Good. So look, 4 different options in order to make, or 4 different metaphors or similes in order to have the same comparison, right? The same idea, yeah? So the same similarity. So in that case, you can choose the one that you prefer if you want to do it more politely, more casually, with like, if you want to make it shorter with an inversion. All the possibilities are correct. You just have to find the one that is better for you. Okay? Questions, difficulties about these metaphors?
No, teacher.
No, all good. Maho, fine.
He's gone.
I think she's going here. Well, anyway, so
Ah, ah,
over.
ah.
Tell me, honey.
I'm sorry, I
No, no,
didn't hear.
no worries, no worries.
What
So,
did you ask me, teacher?
questions, difficulties, anything?
Ah,
No,
no, no,
no,
no.
all fine. Okay, good. Bueno, over here we're going to have four different pictures, right? The question is super simple. It's simply, I would like to know how do they look like in your perception? The man, the girl, the couple, the poor guy. Well, how do they look like? Any ideas?
Um, the couple looks like if no look like if they were the cheesy Koreans of the K-drama.
Okay, very good. That's it. Okay. Well, in that case, you have two options, or like or if, in which case we'll say if as if, ready? But like if, no, just like
I
they
can
were.
combine them like
Not naturally, it's not necessary, but you can, but it's not necessary. You can say like
okay,
as if they were the cheesy Korean couples, or like they were the cheesy Korean couples. But it's not
okay.
necessary to combine them, right?
Okay.
Very good. So in that case, making a metaphor between this very American couple with the Korean ones, no? Muy bien. Excellent. Santi, what about you, bro? What do you think?
The man looks like as if he he hasn't slept.
Exactly. Same, no? So looks like or looks as if he hasn't slept, no? So una de dos, or as if or like, but not both, just one, right? So very good. He looks as if he hasn't slept. Present perfect because of course it's something realistic, no? So look at the face, no? He hasn't slept. Muy bien, very good, right? What about this guy? What does he look like? What does he seem like?
Um, the teacher looks like in heaven. Is that you? Huh?
Yeah, it's me, of course. So the teacher looks like in heaven, right? In that case, the subject is the same, right? So the teacher and the teacher, of course, he. And it's with verb to be, no? So the other one, it would be like, the teacher looks like he were in heaven, but I can omit that part. Good, that's it. So the teacher looks like in heaven. Excellent, that's it. Listo? Bueno, very good. So in that case, we're going to find different kinds of comparisons that we can make, doing it with the way, doing it with as, doing it with as if or as though, doing it with like, doing it with the inversion, right? So for example, I don't know, suppose that um, somebody else is depressed. So I would say, for example, that she looks very depressed, very depressed, as does my best friend. No, so Making it's an easy comparison using with an inversion, using only as and then the inverted between the auxiliary and the subject, or the verb and the subject. So it's another possibility. No? So we have actually many different possibilities to use this kind of comparisons, this kind of metaphors. The idea is that you can choose one and introduce more of these kind of comparisons because they are going to be very easy. Not only like, no, because the most common one is that we use like for all, but try to introduce also the others because it's good idea not to stay only with one, um, not to say only with one expression, but to vary the repertoire of expressions that you can have. Ready? So like, as if, as though, try to integrate all of them. Ready? Guys, questions, difficulties, or anything? Anything at all?
No, teacher, everything good.
Everything good? Listo, my dear people. So for the moment, that will be all. See you on Thursday, I think so. Thursday?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So see you on Thursday at 7 p.m. And that's it. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the attention. And thank you for continuing with the classes until the end, right?
Thanks, teacher. Good night.
Thanks to
Thank you,
you.
teacher.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Have a good night.